Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell if you love to watch more cheating stories. Should I walk away? This will probably get pretty long. I, 24F, have always been an extremely insecure person. I was sexually abused by my stepfather from 8 to 13, I told my mother and was accused of being a liar at the age of 10, forced to live with my abuser hours away from any family. I had no friends because I didn't know how to keep them, or I fought too hard to keep them. I told my stepdad to basically fuck off at 13 and ultimately ended up moving out prematurely at 16 to be with my high school boyfriend, basically escaping my Stockholm Syndrome situation. Nightmares and flashbacks came pouring into my life the more I stayed away from my toxic home life. Finally at 20 I moved in with my grandparents when my relationship turned to shit and I started building myself up. Or tried to at least. I continuously got into relationship after relationship during that time and it always resulted the same way. Cheating. I gave up and started focusing on myself in 2020. I still had my FWB, but I swore I wouldn't have a relationship until I found someone who was more like me. I was single for all of 2020 just about and was so proud, but then I met him. I am now in a situation I never thought I'd be in. Pregnant and in another cheating situation. My boyfriend, 34M, and I have not been together that long. I won't make any lame excuses to me getting pregnant. I've honestly been told my whole life, since 16 anyway, that I can't have kids, and I just wasn't as careful as I should have been after having more medical problems being on the pill. Anyway, I am currently going into my 31st week of pregnancy and D-Day was beginning of February or so. My insecurities have definitely shown up in this relationship and I genuinely have a hard time deciphering between them and my intuition. But I suppose there were red flags that fogged up my radar. He has a 4-year-old daughter to his ex-GF, he was married once, not to the baby mama, and has informed me of his infidelity before. As a man who charmed me with his similar spirituality and beliefs, supposedly, I wanted to believe he was on a better path, being forward with his mistakes. He called me the woman of his dreams and we could talk for hours, days, whenever, etc. He would every now and then inform me that hey, this isn't always me, I will need time to myself to get my life together or whatever, and as our talk started to trickle away I understood but was still very anxious. I'm always anxious. He was building a tiny house and wanted me involved. I wanted a tiny house commune in my future and with our similar interests, his rugged handsomeness, our sexual compatibility, I really thought he was a dream come true as well, but something just wasn't sitting well with me. I should also probably mention he has 2 phone numbers for crypto purposes and because one has old texts from his baby mama from the trial. Middle of our relationship started to get ugly. We would argue about him possibly cheating on me. I found a sock at his house which he said could be his daughter's, wrong, it was woman-sized. After a few days, weeks, he said it could have been his mother's and that he was sorry for the way he blew up on me, he was just tired of my accusations. But his anger with me just continues to get worse. Basically calling me crazy and that I'm wrong. He needs space from me and I'm emotionally controlling. Some happened before I got pregnant, after pregnancy it just seemed to get worse. Finger pointing on whose fault it was, and although he mentioned he could see us having kids, now it's like I'm ruining his life. As if mine isn't affected also? We were living separately, but the owner of his property was about to sell, and I had a black mold issue in my apartment that I needed out fast. He made me look for a place for us because he doesn't like animals and I have 2 cats and it's not his responsibility to look for a place that allows animals. I found the perfect place. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. A room for his daughter, a room for our son, and a room for us. Anytime I brought up his daughter though, he got angry with me and said that his daughter most likely won't be involved. The room turned into my office. We moved in beginning of December. He started staying later at work. He's a painter and we are expecting a child. No big deal, we need the money, but I felt I had little to no support. I'm living hours from my family, intentionally, as they can be quite toxic themselves, but I have no one to talk to. My mind runs circles around what he could be thinking and why he doesn't talk to me the same way he used to. I feel I'm going crazy. Middle of January he leaves to Florida to visit his dad who has cancer. I can't go. COVID precautions or whatnot. I have not read or seen messages regarding the fact I can't go, but understandable, I'm also pregnant. He chooses to drive down because he wants to smoke cigarettes and take his time. First time he's had a vacation since losing custody of his daughter a few years back. I'm worried at this point. Something tells me it's not going to be the same when he gets back. Ultimately, we fight the entire time he's gone. He gives me the silent treatment and tells me I'm disgusting for acting this way and accusing him of cheating when he's visiting his dying father. Mind you, his father is in chemo, but even my so told me his dad made it out as worse than what it actually is. According to my so's mother, this is how his dad is. When he gets back we fight more. Nothing seems to be getting better and I'm still caught on the fence of crazy or no? Finally, I see him draw up his pattern to unlock his phone and I swear I can't stop thinking about being nosy. I waited until he went to sleep and I went diving. I found photos of him in things and tights that he sent to his old phone down in Florida. I stayed up all night searching through everything I could. All I really found were the photos and some additional face pictures he has not once sent to me. He has sent maybe a few photos here and there in our entire relationship, which was approaching a year at this point. I confront him that morning. More screaming, yelling, whatever. At this point I don't even remember that day because it was only the beginning. A few days later he sits me down and explains everything. He pours his heart out to how he hasn't been able to express himself sexually with me and that he didn't send anything to anyone, it was all for his voyeurism fantasy, but he would also like to share me with other people and yada yada. But then when I got pregnant he panicked and became more reclusive, whatever. I told him no more secrets or lies and he agrees. He even gives me the password to his old phone. A few more days go by and I break into his old phone. I find his profiles that still haven't been deleted and have been signed on recently. A sleazy place called Double List and Adult XXX Finder, some other sugar baby websites and shit too. I confront him and am basically like, you can either tell me everything or leave. Clearly he's dumbfounded and doesn't move. I go back to work, I work from home. I honestly felt this is the highest ground I ever held in our relationship and I felt great. Strong. I told him how it was going to be. Except he still hasn't admitted to anything physical. Not like it would change my mind, he cheated. He lied. He made me feel crazy. And I have no clue if he continues to lie to me. He recovered everything he could to show me. He said in Florida was the closest he came to cheating on me and he never went through with it. There are no email responses to the messages asking for people to meet up. I couldn't see the messages in his kick because he broke his old phone. Getting angry and throwing a bag wasn't intentional. So I don't know if he reached out to these same people there and they respond to meet up, but it's all presumed. And although I want to believe what he's saying, I just don't know if I can, because the kicker is, I pushed him away. I accused him of cheating, so why not? He has told me numerous times in our relationship that if I keep accusing him then why shouldn't he cheat? But I don't find that a good enough reason. I find it wrong that he feels like he should punish me. He says he never physically could do it because when it came down to it he loves me. But it gets better, we still argue. Just about every other day. He's moved out, but helping with my rent for the baby, and he's still setting up his daughter's room in our townhouse in hopes of seeing her. Who am I to keep a child from her father? Some days are good. He talks to me and answers my questions. Most days, he's screaming at me saying this is the reason we ended up here in the first place. My questions and accusations. He says my perception of the whole situation is way off key and there are people out there who do way worse. I'm honestly at a loss for words because I'm tired of being blamed every day when I'm just trying to make sense of it all. I understand how my insecurities played a part, but why do I feel he's using it against me? He says he understands where I'm coming from, but I've got to let it go and stop harping on it. He's gotten to the point of blowing up, leaving my house, and saying he can't talk to me unless we are in front of a therapist because all I do is twist his words or take things out of proportion. He's the one who is now telling me I've done sketchier things in our relationship. Isn't this gaslighting? I'm going to IC. He said he will be too after things settle down, moving or whatnot, but I don't trust that. I told him I will not see a couples therapist until he starts working on himself in IC. I can't tell if he's blowing it off or not. Part of me wants to believe he's trying because he called himself a sleazeball. He has unintentional dreads from being alone and uncaring about his appearance the last 3 years, and I did not care. Honestly, should have been another red flag. Plus had only a few pairs of pants and shirts that he cycled through with only one pair of boots. After he called himself that, I haven't been able to stop seeing him as a sleazeball. As someone comparable to my stepfather. And after reading some of the very inappropriate emails, it just felt even more real that I'm having a child with someone I can't stop seeing as a sleaze, just like my abuser. I told him this. He's cut his hair. He got new clothes and shoes. He makes snide comments sometimes about how it's all for me and it makes me feel bad, like he's not understanding. I honestly just have no idea. I love him so much. The man I met last January. The one with similar views. The gentleman who listened and took the time to see me for me, and now I don't think we see each other. Although he does answer all of my calls now. He texts me back entirely. He says he loves me, but I'm too focused on love that I'm ruining the life he's trying to build. I interrupt his work with my accusations. I interrupt the space he needs with my questioning and accusations, and I just don't know how I can get him to stop viewing me so terribly. I can see how I am in the wrong and that mentally I am not well either. I'm young and still on the road to recovering from intense childhood traumas, but I don't know where to go from here. I've done so much for this little boy inside of me that extends much farther than financially. I work daily and try to keep my diet where it's supposed to be. I walk and exercise, but emotionally I've been in turmoil. This baby and his home birth is my #1 priority. With all the plans though, and the home on rocky soil, I don't feel stable. I can't leave with the due date nearing and having no other OB care aside from my midwife and everywhere else is so far booked out. Should I stay? Should I make him stay away more? I feel like I panic that he's doing something he shouldn't be when he's away. Does it seem he's trying? Am I not trying hard enough or am I being too hard on him? I feel like he's still way too mean to be remorseful. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell.